booties for black girl nerds.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. I appreciate it.
No worries.
Thank you.
So, Lashana, I'll start with you. Bianca is a very complex character, and we see her navigate these two separate lives, first as a wife and a mother, and then this British intelligence officer. And there are times that she has to compromise her morals and ethics in order to get information. Do you think the deception part of her job is what weighs on her the most?
Yes, I do, but I think it's the thing that makes her most excited about her job. I think it's what's kept her thriving in it and becoming as successful as she is. There is something about that deception that has seeped into her as an individual, though it's not something that she can take off like a coat. It is just a part of her now. So it is, I've just looking from the outside in, she finds it very challenging to rip that mask off and become the mother and the wife that she should be for her family. And that causes so much complication. But I think that also, even in that complication, there's absolutely no way that she'd turn her back on her job. There's no way. It's what gives her her life. It's what makes her feel like a human being. And unfortunately, if that job didn't exist, I don't know if she'd know who she is anymore.
She's a very interesting and compelling character. Yeah, she's very focused on her job, and we get to see that journey throughout this series. And Eddie, for you, the same can go for the Jackal, because you guys are kind of both two sides of the same coin when it comes to living these separate lives. He also has a family and is living a completely different life as an assassin. How does he cope from a morality standpoint, doing the work that he does and also being a father?
Well, I think that's one of the great questions of the or the largest questions of the series really is how you reconcile this casual ruthlessness and with someone who seemingly has great love and a want for a normality. And in some ways, I don't want to give away how those two things marry because it remains one of the big questions in the series. But I found a route to reconcile those two things, and it's one of the things that intrigued me about doing it. Because in the original film and in the book, you get to know very little about the Jackal, and you can sustain that for 2 hours if you're as brilliantly charismatic as Edward Fox is. But over 10 hours, what I find what differentiated one of the things that differentiated this series for me was the exact question you're asking, but and how to respond to it. And I hope that we do find that over the course of the series.
Yeah, I love that this is an episodic series because we get to unpack all of these different layers and see the complexity of these characters unfold from each episode to the next. Lashana, back to you. Bianca, she's very determined to get her man. And like you said, she's very dedicated to her job to the point where she's willing to make personal sacrifices in her life and in her personal life. Is this more than just a job for her? Is there something else that she's trying to fulfill in her life?
That's a really good question. There's something I toyed with at the beginning of the shoot that was her having all of these masks, whether it be things that she does with her hands or the way in which the difference between how she communicates at work and the code switching that she has to do between work and home. I think that there are elements of her that need that just a removal of self. I don't know what it is. I just questioned it at the when I read the first three episodes if she believes that she is good and believes that she's a good person. And I didn't quite find the answer, actually. I think that that's what a lot of the masking is, that she doesn't know if she is worthy of anything that she has, but also believes that she absolutely deserves to be where she is. And I think that the gray areas between those 2 points create all of the complication that you see in her and around her. And it was those gray areas that I think we're able to play with really nicely, in that no one really quite knows where she is, because she's not defined what she represents, because there's no real care within even her and her organization. She just cares about her position in her organization. She cares about how she is perceived, and the tools that she's given or not given, or how long it takes for her to get found out in a lie. Like all those things, I think, makes her feel like the human being that we learn her to be, but that's actually not who she is. I don't think she will quite know that as long as she's balancing the work life and the home life in the way that we see her do it. There's only so long that she can keep that up, but without it, I don't know, I think she would just crumble, to be honest. And I think that's really sad. So maybe actually it boils down to a sadness in her that she hasn't quite been able to articulate, that is maybe a bigger conversation for what we experience in the workplace as women, like an emptiness that sometimes we don't get to explore a certain avenue, or we don't get heard, or we don't feel like we're being listened to. We don't know how to advocate for ourselves. She does. She's doing what a lot of women like myself learn to do slowly throughout our careers. But even with that, there's not a satisfaction in that at all. There's only a satisfaction in getting the thing. And if she's not getting the thing, then she's empty. That actually brought up a lot of what my characterization was from the beginning, that I'm really hoping audiences see throughout her journey. I'm not sure if it landed or not, but that is a part of the complications that you see within her.
It lands.
Okay, it lands. Eddie said it lands.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really what kept me dialed in from one episode to the next, is just seeing the complexity of these characters, and just seeing the unlayering from how each of their journeys go throughout the series. And you kind of don't know who to root for, because their moral compass is just kind of all out of whack throughout the story. So thank you, Lashana. Thank you, Eddie, so much for taking the time to speak to Black Girl Nerds. I really appreciate the conversation. Really enjoyed this series. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye.
Better shake your booties for Black Girl Nerds. Better shake your booties for Black Girl Nerds.